Well, Smera and Sajjad are here now to bravely share their frustration at the lack of legal progress, as well as some stories of Nuria, a day after what would have been her 9th birthday. Thank you both so much for coming in this morning. Smera, I can't begin to imagine how difficult the last 8 months have been for you, for your family. Let's start with Nuria. Tell us a little bit about your miracle little girl.
She was my whole heart and my whole world. When she was born, yesterday was her 9th birthday. I didn't know I could love so much, unconditionally. And I promised to myself to protect her fiercely. And this world that we are now left with, I cannot come to terms with it. I struggle every day. I question myself every second, because she was my whole heart.
Said she had a light and a joy and a spirit that was sort of unparalleled.
It really was. She, I'd like to think we gave her some of that, but I think naturally, as a person, and she was a little person, her personality shone through in the first few months of her being. She enjoyed a good laugh. She was full of joy. She was so generous, to the point at which we'd actually have to hold her back.
Yeah.
Sometimes promising her friends that her mummy and daddy would buy them the presents that she got for Christmas. Like, no. She epitomized the best of everything.
And she was your miracle baby, essentially, wasn't she?
She was. There was. We had. It was complicated, as many are. But she came through, despite some potential hazards. She came through, and we couldn't attempt again, you know, through various mechanisms. And of course, lots of people share that. But she was our miracle. She was.
She was.
So, Smera, take us back, as painful as it is, to that day last summer, the last day of term. I can only imagine how excited she would have been about the summer holidays coming up. And you'd all gone to school, all the girls were there for a special presentation and tea party, is that right?
That's exactly what it was. It was their last day of term, last day in that campus building. The girls did a beautiful assembly. She played recorder, and everybody spoke about their hopes and dreams. She spoke about hers. It was perfect. We then went out in the garden, and the girls came out via another entrance, and we waited for them to come out. And we were only supposed to be in that garden for 10 minutes. And we spoke to her. We chatted, she came out, she showed us, we told her how proud we are of her and how much we love her. And she said, Mama, Papa, I'm so excited. And we said, we'll get ice cream and we'll do a picnic.
She also said, I'm feeling a bit emotional, because she was leaving the building.
Leaving the building.
She was about to go to the upper school, so it was at a different spot.
Different campus, yes.
And this picture here is the picture that you took just moments before the crash. What are your memories of that crash, Smera? Because
like any mummy, photographs had to be taken.
Of course.
If they like it or not, mummy's gonna ask another mummy to take a photo. I question that photo every time I look at it, because we took quite a few. The others were on the grassy patch, and then we moved in front of the building to get the shot of the building. I question myself every day. Had I stayed on the grassy spot for 10 more seconds, we would have not been hit. So I hugged her and we shimmied along to get a photo. And And she's holding that half-eaten pastry in her hands, which she never got to finish. That photo is all I remember. I know she leaves me, or I think she leaves me to go get another pastry. And I said, Nuria, you've got one in your hand already. And I cannot remember. Maybe I'm scared, but I cannot remember what happened.
Because you were also injured too, correct?
I was badly injured, and I remember hearing things. I heard the ambulance, I heard the siren, I heard Saj leaving with Nuria, but I don't know how long after that was. I don't remember.
Right.
But I don't know where she was.
Right.
I don't know if she ran back to me, thinking her mummy is going to save her. I don't know if she saw the car. I will never know. I will never know.
Saj, the confusion that must have sort of overwhelmed everybody at that point would be hard to underestimate.
Absolutely. I did go into shock for a period of time. It seemed very unreal. It seemed incomprehensible that something like that would happen. It's not something you ever think could happen. And I genuinely don't have any sense of how long it took me to move from disbelief to concern to panic. And it was during the panic that I found Smera and Nuria. Smera was already being attended to, Nuria was already being attended to, Smera not. I do remember through all of that, however, the screams, the shouting, chaos. It was a scene of chaos. I remember that vividly.
And there was another little girl called Selena that was killed too.
Yes.
And was it just mayhem at that point?
It was mayhem. Again, it's hazy for me, but it was very chaotic. There were individuals, parents and school staff who sprung into action and were able to help support and I'm sure save people from a worse fate that they had. But Selena and Nuria, unfortunately, were very terribly injured. Smera was very terribly injured.
So tragically, the two little girls died.
Yes.
I think more than 16 people were very badly injured, including yourself, Smera. And you're still struggling with, I think, 4 operations later, a number of broken bones and...
Shoulder, ribs.
Yeah.
I think the rehab on that, I'd imagine, has been a good distraction because you've got to sort of get your physical well-being back.
Absolutely. I had 2 surgeries straight after the accident, one in September and one just 7 weeks ago. And I'm still not at the end. I'm in constant pain. My mobility is limited. I've had to learn to walk again. I cannot do the tasks that I did before. I do not have the life that I had before. And I am willing to park all my broken bones and take more for answers. And just to have a little bit more with my little girl.
Yeah.
Being hit in the same accident, you know, no one prepares you for this. This isn't the natural way. You're not supposed to go before your kids. But if you have to, a parent should be able to do the last rites. Saj had to do it on his own because I wasn't able to do anything for her. She left the home on that Thursday morning and she never came back. She never came home. I would have brought her home I would have... I couldn't.
Sajjad, it's those answers that are key now for you, for
us.
Selena's parents, for the parents of all the little girls that were at that school that morning, and the teachers, because obviously there's trauma for all those teachers as well.
Yes.
And that's, I think, a real frustration is that the 8 months ago, the investigation to what's happening and what is going on feels like you're not getting anywhere.
Indeed, and you know, you're very right, Ben, to say that this we have suffered greatly, but so many have suffered greatly. This is a communal incident. A lot of people are desperately trying to deal with this and trying to find answers, and of course we're at the front of that queue. It is challenging. It's 8.5 months. We did our best to get through yesterday, Nuria's birthday. We understand that there has been some progress. The best I can describe it is half the police's work is done, but half is outstanding. The challenge we feel is twofold. A, we're told that the rationale for the delay is anything from complexity to understaffing, which is quite a difficult thing to hear.
There's...
Understaffing, certainly.
And the other thing that makes this difficult is this wasn't a typical road traffic collision. Our girls were where they belonged. They were in the safest place they could be outside of their homes. And so essentially half of the investigation could, you know, potentially be accounted for. The girls were where they belonged. Something happened. Something intruded upon their school. So we find that a little difficult to swallow.
Yeah.
It's a bit difficult to swallow.
They weren't running across the road. They weren't doing anything wrong. They were in their school uniform. They were in their safest spot. It isn't a typical road traffic collision.
No.
Because they didn't collide with anyone.
No.
No.
We have a statement from the Metropolitan Police who have said are carrying out a thorough and extensive investigation into what happened. This is what they said: our thoughts remain with the families of Nuria and Selena, who we know are greatly loved and missed. This was a tragic incident. We understand that the families want and need answers as to what happened. Specialist detectives have worked tirelessly to establish the circumstances of that day, including detailed analysis of CCTV and examination of expert reports. We have also sought early investigative advice from the Crown Prosecution Service. We recognise that the time taken can cause further distress, but it is only right and fair to all involved that we carry out a thorough and extensive investigation.
Well, that's a very familiar statement, if you forgive me. And it's what we have heard each time we've raised our cause in the public eye. So having heard it 5-6 times, it is again, it loses its meaning somewhat. I understand, complexities. I understand staffing. I understand all this, but I need to be understood too. We need to be understood.
And you just want some answers.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can blame you for that.
8.5 months is a long time.
It is a very long time. It is a long time.
And the statement that you've just read out hasn't changed for the past 4 months. You've got to help us out. There's got to be something more. Yeah. It's not for grieving parents to come and ask for just accountability.
No. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. On behalf of everybody who can't reach out but give you enough love and support. I mean, she was, and the briefest that I've heard about Nuria, she was a very, very special, magical little girl.
She was joy.
And like you say, joy for all of you. And fingers crossed you can get some of those answers you so desperately need.
Thank you. Thank you both
so
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.